What's up, guys? In this video, we're talking about training for your first marathon. Are you strong enough? We have a strength test for you that's gonna make sure you can survive injury-free. Stay tuned. Okay, so this first thing to assess our readiness for that marathon training is actually gonna be some basic strength. And I've got Carl Powley here from Freestyle Connections to talk about that. And he's just one of the world's leading experts on strength and mechanics and performance.
When it comes to measuring strength, we all want numbers. But in reality, it's hard to measure strength for something like a marathon, especially when you're just in training, with a number right away. So we want to start measuring not just with feel, but with movement patterns, basic movement patterns. And a very basic test of strength, which means your capacity to move in space, is a push-up.
That's right.
Yeah, because it shows us a lot of things. It shows us, do you have control over your midline? Meaning, do you have core strength? Do you have the capacity to have a connection from a neuromuscular perspective that actually translates into running? And then number two, it also addresses some upper body strength, which is key to be able to stabilize the lower body when we're running. So those are a couple things to think about when we're testing or assessing movement.
And basically, when the reason why we care about this stuff is we just about to get into our push-ups right now. If we're lacking that neuromuscular control and that motor control, there's going to be some sort of breakdown in our mechanics. And when we see that breakdown in our mechanics, the speed wobbles come out, and it's those speed wobbles that usually are so closely correlated with your plantar fasciitis, your Achilles, your knee, whatever issue you're dealing with. Yeah. So let's get into this push-up.
Yeah, so Nate's just gonna knock out like 2 or 3 push-ups, which we know he can do. He's a strong guy, go for it. So as he's doing push-ups, I want you to notice the line from his head to his toes. That's the midline, as basic as that. And this is simple stuff, but when we practice it, especially when we do volume, we tend to break down. The breakdown we start seeing is, show him that, yeah. We start seeing this arch in the back. We start seeing the yes, you are. The butt sticking out. Stick your butt out for me. There you go, right. Stuff like that. Come down with the hips. Now just keep it neutral. But now check out the neck. We tend to see this chin coming up. Once the chin comes up, that means that I'm breaking in the spine as well. So we want to be careful with those things. So that's your midline. Go ahead and stand up for me, Nate. So when we're doing push-up, I think the most basic approach is, can you maintain a straight line? That's hard to do.
That is hard. And we care about that because this is basically where we want to be with our running. A lot of times when we break down with our running, our head starts to do this. You know, our shoulders start to round forward, which was this position that we could see in the breakdown of the push-up itself.
Exactly. And then the second part of this is, how can we mimic what your arms are going to be doing while you're running in that push-up? And a very good way of doing that is simply thinking, as my arm transitions from front to back, what position does it go through? And it goes through something that looks like this, where the forearm is perpendicular approximately to the midline. This is in, of course, an ideal world. But we can take that and apply it to the push-up. So every time you saw Nate doing push-ups there, his forearm was perpendicular to the ground.
Starting to go there, as opposed to being out really wide or in front or anything else that we start to see.
Exactly.
Okay, cool.
If you're the runner that's not strong enough to do this, now is where we can start thinking about scaling. So a great way of scaling a push-up can be, if you just start in a plank position for me, Nate, working on the negative, which is the descent. So he goes slowly down, and now on the way up, he can keep the hips down, lift the chest up, he can arch up, and then he can bring the hips up and finish in that neutral position. And he can practice that until he gets strong enough to be able to rise with his hips at the same level as his shoulders. If that works for you, great. If it doesn't, you can always find a little ledge that we magically happen to have right here. It's right there. And you can use this angle to decrease the load on your shoulders, on your arms, and on your midline to be able to facilitate this movement and practice holding that line. So these are great ways of scaling things. And just to go back to where we started, when we think about assessment in terms of movement and mechanics, we want to feel. And if we can feel that things are getting better or we're challenged, there's opportunity, and that's what we want to work. But numbers are important, right?
Numbers are important.
Yes.
And, you know, we like to throw out kind of round numbers in there, and we could say, hey, maybe something along the lines of 10 good push-ups is not an unreasonable number to do, especially if I'm running 26.2 miles. And perhaps if I struggle with 10 full push-ups and I start to see some breakdown, there's something in that breakdown that's telling me about my inability to stay upright for an extended period of time.
Yes.
So we can start to work on those things.
There you go.
Well, perfect. Well, great. Well, in this next thing, we got 2 more things for you guys. In this next little clip, we're gonna talk about a one-arm plank. All right, so in this next piece, guys, we're gonna talk about some plank variations, and we're actually gonna talk about a plank where we take one arm off. It's gonna be called the one-arm plank, and that's gonna be another one of our strength assessments for running. Once again, Carl here is gonna walk me through it and some things we can think about.
Okay, so a one-arm plank is basically just a plank or a push-up hold where you're lifting a hand up. So actually just facing forward, I think is great to show them is, can you hold a plank position but pick one arm up? All it is that, but there's much more to it. So you can come out of it, rest for a second. Here's the thing. Anytime you pick one hand off the ground from a plank position, you're gonna feel like your whole body wants to rotate around. The big thing that you'll notice is that you're gonna lose some balance. So automatically your feet are gonna wanna come apart as you lift your hand up. What you're doing there is automatically setting yourself up to resist that rotation. What rotation are we talking about here? Well, as I pick the hand up, the whole body is gonna wanna collapse. So you're,
a little bit.
Yeah, so you're resisting all of that rotation. Here's the first thing we're gonna focus on, push-up position. We're going to shift our shoulders over to his right hand, and now once he finds all of the weight on top of that hand, he can start picking up this hand off the ground and start working on the balance. Just that alone is challenging. Come on out of it. Lateral shift comes first.
That is hard.
Right, it's hard. Once you have the lateral shift going, now as you pick your hand up, you'll notice that your hips want to rise. Our goal is to try to keep the hips low and in line with our shoulders. So why don't you go sideways here so people can see you. Notice this. We're gonna shift towards the camera right now. He's gonna pick his hand up, and the first thing that happens is that this hip wants to lift, and we wanna keep those hips down so we keep that nice straight line. That's what we're looking for. Fantastic. Come on out of it.
Woo!
Facing.
Hold my breath on that one.
Yeah. Don't hold your breath too much.
Don't hold your breath too much.
Yes. Now facing forward again, we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna go lateral shift. He's gonna pick his hand up. He's gonna try to keep his hips low. And now on this one, we're gonna try to keep this shoulder in line with the other one. That is now a perfectly square hip and shoulder position, which is exactly what we want when we're running. And if you can have that, you're minimizing excessive rotation and just making sure that all that force that you're applying is sending you forward.
So in terms of numbers, how long are we thinking about, holding this single arm plank for and keeping in mind everything you just talked about?
Well, I think 5 seconds is good enough to get started on each arm, and then building up to something like 10 to 20 to 30. Can you hear that? That means it's noon in San Francisco every day. Every week on Tuesday at noon, they have this thing. It's an alarm that goes off. Are we having an earthquake, or is the next?
It's not just lunch?
No. Or
Okay.
Trump just got elected.
Oh, okay.
Keep that on the video. 5 seconds, guys. Start with 5. Build up to 10. If you get 30 seconds on each arm, 1 minute total, that's epic.
I like that, but keeping the time short and the quality high is the most important thing. Accumulating upwards of 30 seconds or so per arm, and if you are a super stud, you're getting upwards of 45, 60 seconds per arm.
Yes.
Perfect. All right, thanks again, Carl, for hanging out.
Thank you.
Boom. Guys, that is it. We really hope you liked this video. If you did, go ahead and let me know. Hit that like button down below. And if you have any more questions around that marathon training, what you should be doing, what you shouldn't be doing, hit me up in the comments section. We always like to get future video requests as well. Finally, if you want more videos like this, as well as other running tips and strength tips and injury prevention work, subscribe to our channel at The Run Experience. We got so much great stuff there for you. And finally, we've got a free gift for you. If you want a complete comprehensive marathon training guide, everything you need to know to train for your marathon, go ahead and click this link in this video. If you happen to be on a mobile device, don't worry, there's an identical link in the description down below. Once you're there, all it's gonna do is gonna take you to this website. Once you're on that page, all you need to do is enter in your email address, and I'll be able to personally send you that marathon comprehensive guide. I get so excited to you, and we'll have that, and then everything will be amazing. So once again, guys, thanks again for watching this video, and we'll catch you in the next one.